here the requirement is the core administration questions and answers. They're looking for the Azure Infrastructure Administrator. This is the role actually they're looking for, and also I have received the JD. Based on the JD, I will tell you the most common asked interview questions and answers. Okay, let's get started. See, what are the core responsibilities of the Azure Administration, Azure Infrastructure Administrator? A senior Azure administrator is the responsible for designing, deploying, and managing Azure PaaS and IaaS services. This means PaaS means platform as a service. IaaS means infrastructure as a service. See, platform as a service means like we need to once the code has been ready, we have to deploy, we have to push the code into the Git repository, and to responsible CI/CD pipeline, and also to responsible for the branching strategies and branching policies. What the dev QA and production environment, like how to run the CI/CD pipeline, and also how to deploy the ECR and Docker Kubernetes. By using these tools, we have to deploy the into Docker repository, and from we need to push into the Docker repository. From Docker repository, either Docker, or if AWS, you can go for the ECR. If AWS, if Azure, you can go for the ACR. We have to push the image into the either Docker Hub or ACR or ECR. From there to you have to push the image into the EKS, either EKS or AKS, or in GCP, in GKS. So based on that only you have to deploy. That's called platform as a service. Infrastructure as a service means, infrastructure means by using Terraform you have to create the infrastructure services, like like compute, networking, and also like compute means you like EC2 and VPC, VNets. These are all things, and also security groups and subnets, and these are all things will come. What are the services we have used? Like if you go for the database side, like there we can use the Redshift, either Redshift or MySQL, and RDS database. These are all things. And networking, VPC, and security groups, VNets, and load balancing. These are all will come under that. Yeah. So that's called infrastructure as a service. But these are all things we have to. People will do the manual, or else by using Terraform you can create the entire infrastructure by using Terraform. And managing Azure AD and RBAC and identity governance. See, this is actually completely Azure Infrastructure Administrator. It's not about the AWS. Just I'm saying, but this is based on this J. I will tell you each and every each and everything for related to Azure Infrastructure only. uh, Managing Azure AD. AD means Active Directory. Active Directory. If let's say in AWS you know IAM roles, right? Like how to create the users and groups. These are all things. So based on that ones, if you want to create like users and groups, user roles, and also how to connect Active Directory and all SSO integration by using completely Azure Active Directory. AD means Active Directory will use, and also RBAC. RBAC means completely role based access control. Role based access control means if we have a role, for example, there is in the company they have multiple roles, like cloud engineers, network engineers, and administrators, and DevOps to many. The based on that only we have to give the uh, authorizations and authentications, and also you have to give the access. So based on that, so that's called only RBAC. RBAC means role based access control. And identity governance. Identity governance means in the this is will come under the subscription level. For example, you have the three environments, like dev, QA, and production environment. So but each one have one subscription. In each the environment we have to create each subscription. So based on that only, in the identity section means the subscription level and landing zones. For example, centralized authentication and centralized um, uh, access or centralized security. If you want to maintain, just you have to go for the identity access. The identity access, like that means they come based on the account level. That means based on the subscription. Here we will call the subscription. In AWS we will call the account level. Implementing CI/CD pipeline using Azure DevOps. Azure DevOps means like a repository. For example, however, sometimes we will push the code into the Git repository and GitLab. Azure DevOps means in Azure DevOps, there is a repository. We can push the code into the Azure repository. In Azure DevOps itself only, we can create the pipelines and test, and we can create the test, build and run the pipeline. Monitoring and alerts on Azure Monitor, log analytics, and application insights. See, for example, if you want to create the end-to-end infrastructure, here we can monitor Azure Monitor. We can monitor the entire infrastructure. We can if something is fail, anything fail like EC2 instance, RDS, whatever it fail something, we can go and check the log analytics, and application insights, like here we can check like how many pods running and nodes running. It's something like it's like a visualization. And implement security controls like network security groups, application security group, web application firewall, defender for cloud. We can implement the security controls also. And the backup and dearment, uh, disaster recovery using Azure backups and recovery services vault, and uh, Azure service recovery. Managing Azure networking, VNet, subnets, peering, and NVA, DNS, application gateway, and load balancer. And ensuring the governance policies, blueprints, complaints, GDPR, ISO 27, and UAE regulations. See, for example, this is actually this completely related to the UAE based JD. This is the banking application. I received the JD, so I'm showing. So based on that, I'm explaining. So this is actually yes for 27001 more. This is, see, for example, every company have the different security policies. So this is the like if India have some security policies, different security policies, if UAE and Dubai and sorry, Singapore, Malaysia, whatever it is, based on the countries also, they have their own policies. Based on that only, we have to design the application based on that security level. And managing incidents, vulnerabilities, remediation, and alerts. And second question, compute, VMs, VMSs, availability, and automation. Difference between the availability set versus availability zone. Protection, fault domains, update domains, and SSL. See here, hardware failures, and these all will come enter the data center failures. See, availability set means hardware failures, and fault domain yes, updated domain yes, SLA service level agreement yes. Here availability zone the entire data centers. Fault domain means here no. Update domain means here no. Here SLA agreement means 99.99%, 99 percent availability we have to give. How do you secure the Azure virtual machines? Azure VMs, how you can secure VMs in Azure? Use the just-in-time JIT access. Apply OS hardening baseline. Enable Microsoft Defender for servers. Use the disk encryption. Azure disk encryption. Disable RDP and SS public action. Use the Bastion. Okay. Configure the network security group as firewall. Enable Azure Monitor for log analytics. How do you automate the VM deployment? ARM, use the ARM templates, Bicep, Azure DevOps Pipeline, Terraform, and PowerShell CLC script. Okay. Storage like here blob files and disk and security. Five types of storages available here. General purpose V2 recommended. Block storage, file storage, premium SSD, ultra disk storage, and archive storage. How do you secure Azure storage? Enable the private endpoints, enable the defender for storage, disable the public access, and use the shared access signature with the IP restriction. Use RBAC role and storage blob data contributor. Enable the customer managed keys CMK and enforce XYA policies. So okay, see networking. Networking means definitely it will come under VNet, subnet, and network security groups, application gateway, and API management. Explain the Azure virtual network components. When you're going to design any application, there is the main basic components like VNets and not only basic, it's advanced also. VNet, subnet, network security groups, and route table, VPN, and Azure firewall, load balance, application gateway, private network peering. These all will come the under the networking. Application gateway words, Azure load balancer and application firewall. What is the difference? Here, see, layer. Load balancer means layer 4, gateway means layer 7, web application firewall means that's also layer 7. SSL termination. Layer 4, in layer 4 it won't come, layer 7 it will come, and layer 5 also, so layer 7 also it will come. Routing rules. This is the basic API gateway path and hosted based and adds a security. DPI and OW ASP rules. Here also these are all will come for only like this rule will come only web application firewall only. How do you secure application gateway? Enable web application and restore the access using a private IP. Okay. Enable diagnostic logs for to the log analytics. Use the managed identity key vault for SSL certificates. What is API management? A platform to secure API, rate limit and throttle request and transfer request and response, expose API to internal and external users, integrated with the application gateway and gateway mode. How do you secure API management? Use both GW2 validation, use the subscription keys, enable private endpoint, use API management plus app gateway, web application firewall combo. Apply the API policies, validate headers, IP filtering. Identity. See, identity means here. See, in AWS in AWS there is IAM will call here here like Azure Active Directory, RBAC and PIM. Okay. Here see what is the difference between AD roles versus RBAC roles. AD roles identity based like user admin, global admin. Okay. RBAC means role based access control like VM contributor, reader storage. How do you implement the least privilege? Least privilege like role based access control, privileged identity management, and the condition access, MFA, multi-factor authentications, identity protection, Azure Active Direct Access, DevOps, CI/CD automation. Here, how do you build a CI/CD pipeline for Azure services? Here, use the Azure DevOps repository, YAML file, build a public artifact, and release the pipeline. Infrastructure as a code, ARM template or Terraform. Automate test environment approvals and deploy to web apps, function apps, AKS or VMS. Here you can see the application we can deploy into in Azure web apps or function apps, Azure AKS, Azure Kubernetes Service and VMS. Common Azure DevOps tools, pipeline, repos, boards. These are all our, if someone is asked what are the common Azure DevOps tools means we can see easily pipelines, repos, boards, artifacts and test plans. Powerful modules for Azure automations. Okay. Azure modules and Azure Active Directory module, PNP PowerShell and Graph SDK. Monitoring, log analytics, application insights, and dashboards. How do you monitor the Azure workloads? We can use Azure Monitor, application insights, and log analytics, alerts, Azure dashboards, metrics, explorer, and service health. What is KQL? A query language used for log analytics to search logs. Okay. Actually, in the Azure, if you go to analytics, log analytics, there is like a search box. We can use the query. Like for example, if you want to search the particular month or particular date or the particular time, there's the filtering search box. There you can use. You can write the queries based on that queries. What are the failed logs? What are the passed logs? Based on that only, based on the time, location. These are all you can check. Security, Defender, Sentinel vulnerability management. What is the key? What are the key Azure security components? Defender for cloud, Defender for services, Azure storage, SQL, Key Vault. See here, mostly you can use it for the Defender for cloud and servers like storage and SQL, like Key Vault, Sentinel, SIM tool. This Sentinel is like a SIM tool. Like SIM tool means, see for example, if someone want to attack our server, or if someone want to attack our website, whatever it is, so SIM tool is that is the main role to handle these all things. See, if for example, if someone going to attack something, so based on that location and the IP address, each and everything, the SIM tool will give us. So we can restrict to that IP address. For example, whenever you are login, you have some IP, right? So that IP we can restrict. So next time, if they want to attack anything, so they cannot access the our server. So, and policy and blueprints, network and application security groups and firewall, network security group, Azure application security groups and firewall, managing agent and conditional access. Steps to remediate vulnerabilities. Here, scan using the defender and prepare the CV. This one I don't know. Okay, I will tell you later or the next class. Or if you people know anything, prioritize the CVE. You can let me know. Apply the patches and rescan and document and close. Okay, compliance like GDPR. These are all things will come based on the UAE regulations. How do you ensure the GDPR compliance in Azure? That like GDPR one, like these are all under will come. Data encryption and DLP using Purview, data residency compliance, access review and logging, right to ensure the workflows. What is ISO? This is completely how does it Azure support it? This is like information security management system. ISMS means like information security management system. Azure supports via shared responsibility model and Azure policies compliance dashboard, logging and monitoring, security key management using the key vault and network segmentation. What are UA specific regulations? Like AD, like for healthcare, security regulations, UAE pass integrations, like data residency requirement like governance workloads. So this means these all need to integrate. Backup and disaster recovery, Azure backups and Azure service recovery. How do you implement these all things? So how do you Azure backup? So here use the recovery service vault and backup policies like retention plus schedule. Retention means scheduled. For example, if you want to take a backup that particular time, you can use the retention plus schedule and backup VMs, files, and SQL and SAP. Monitor and backup health. Explain Azure site recovery. Here see. ESR means Azure site recovery. Okay. Replicate workload into the second region. Okay. Supports RTO requirements. Failure and failback workload supports VMware hypervisor physical missions. Real world scenario. Okay. Here. Okay. Your application gateway is causing intermittent 502 error. What do you check? Okay, see, see here means sometimes your here intermittent error means sometimes it will work, sometimes it won't work. So in that case, what you will check? So backend health and HTTP settings, SSL certificates, network security groups, and UDR blocking backend, scaling, app gateway, and web application firewalls. Okay, these are all you can go and check. The first thing you have to go and check the logs only. After that, you can find out the error. Based on that, these are all based on that only. These are all you need to check. Okay. User cannot access via basin. What you can check? Basin subnet. Azure basin subnet network security group. First, you have to check the network security group, public IP, and session limits and role assignment for the user. Okay. Scenario: high CPU on production virtual machine. Use the Azure monitor to access. Resize the VMS. Use the scale set if needed. Okay. Apply auto scaling rules. Enable update the management patching. Okay. Scenario: security alerting for the auspicious login. So here, for example, if someone going to not someone going to when you're going to log in, if they cannot log in, so these following steps we have to check. Check the risk event in Azure Active Directory. Reset the password. Force MFA. Multi-factor authentication. Enable the condition access. Review audit logs and close the instance. Okay. Complaints audit found public access and enable for storage. Disable public access, enable private endpoint. Azure apply policy to ensure the no public access. Okay. Final round management questions. Okay. How do you document Azure environments? Visio diagrams, CMDB, Terraform state file plus README. Okay. Confidence knowledge base and security SOPs. Okay, how do you work with dev QA production environment? Separate subscription. See, here first we have to create the. See, last time we have discussed it, right? The very first question I have already explained. How do you work with the dev QA product? If you want to work with the dev QA production environment, you have to create the multiple subscriptions. For QA one subscription, production one subscription, and dev one subscription. Here separate the subscriptions. RBAC for the each environment. Pipeline with approvals. Key vault plus secret for environment. Policy and tagging strategy. Okay. How do you handle the incidents? Okay. For example, if you got some incidents, follow the ITL process. Incident, root cause, corrective action, prevention action. Document in Jira and you can start the service now. Thank you so much. If you have any doubts, you can comment. I will reply you and like you can thank you.